The Vanishing Act, the mystery of President Alexander Reed. The United States had seen many presidents, but none like Alexander Reed. Charismatic, intelligent, and decisive, he was beloved by the people and respected worldwide. His presidency was marked by sweeping reforms, an economic boom, and a diplomatic finesse that brought peace to troubled regions. But on a crisp autumn morning, President Reed vanished without a trace. It was a day like any other in Washington, D.C. The sun had just risen, casting a golden hue over the White House, where President Reed was scheduled to attend a series of high-profile meetings. The day began with a routine security briefing at 8 o'clock in the morning, where Reed, as usual, asked probing questions and offered clear directives. His staff admired his focus, unaware that it would be the last time they'd see him. At 9:30 a.m.,
the president was due in the Oval Office for a private meeting with his chief of staff, Laura Hayes. When she arrived, the room was empty. Initially, Laura assumed Reed was running late, perhaps caught up in another meeting or a phone call. But after 10 minutes passed, concern began to creep in. She contacted his personal secretary, who confirmed that Reed had left the security briefing and was heading to the Oval Office, but he never arrived. A search of the White House was initiated. The Secret Service swept the premises, but there was no sign of the president. The security footage was immediately reviewed, revealing something astonishing. The cameras showed President Reed walking down the corridor toward the Oval Office. He paused near a small alcove, just out of sight from the main hallway, and then simply vanished from the frame. There was no record of him leaving the White House. No alarm was triggered, and no one saw anything unusual.
As news of the president's disappearance spread, the country was plunged into chaos. The vice president, Maria Sanchez, was sworn in as acting president, but her first task was to deal with the growing hysteria. A nationwide manhunt was launched involving every federal agency, but despite their best efforts, there were no leads. The media buzzed with conspiracy theories. Some believed Reed had been kidnapped by foreign operatives. Others speculated that he had been betrayed by someone within his administration, while a few suggested that the president had chosen to disappear on his own.
Internationally, the situation was equally tense. Allies and adversaries alike scrambled to make sense of the situation. Diplomatic channels buzzed with speculation, and several nations declared states of emergency, fearing that the disappearance of such a prominent world leader might signal a broader crisis. As the days turned into weeks, the trail grew colder.
Acting President Sanchez struggled to maintain order, but the lack of answers was eroding public trust.
In the background, a covert task force was formed, composed of the nation's top intelligence and security experts. Their mission was clear: find President Reed at any cost. Months passed with no breakthroughs. The White House, once a symbol of stability, became a place of unease. The Oval Office remained unused, as if waiting for Reed's return. Memorials and vigils were held across the country, with citizens holding on to hope that their leader would somehow be found alive. Then, nearly a year after his disappearance, a cryptic message was broadcast on a hacked television signal during the President's Day address. The message was brief, showing only a few seconds of grainy footage. President Reed, looking disheveled but alive, standing in what appeared to be a dimly lit room. He spoke only 2 words, "Help me," before the screen went black. The broadcast sent shockwaves through the nation. The signal had been traced to an abandoned facility in a remote part of the country, but when agents arrived, the place was empty, save for a single piece of paper with the words "not yet" scrawled in Reed's handwriting. The mystery deepened. Was the president being held against his will? Was it a ruse? The world held its breath, waiting for the next chapter in the saga of the missing president. But as time went on, the trail grew colder, and Alexander Reed became more of a legend than a man, a symbol of unanswered questions and unresolved fears. And so, the nation moved forward, always under the shadow of its missing leader, wondering if the truth would ever come to light.